Welcome back to the Republic of Arsenal. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. We're going to do a match review. Arsenal 3 Premier League wins on the bounce. Unfortunately, it's at the end of the season when it probably doesn't really make too much of a difference. But look, typical Arsenal. But look, we've got a really good panel here today. We're a little bit tight for time, so apologies if we kind of jump into these kind of really quickly. But yeah, going to introduce the lads really quick. So Dawesy back. Haven't had you here in a while, Dawesy. How's things?
Yeah, been a while, mate. Yeah, busy trying to sort house moving, stuff like that. So just been otherwise engaged, but all good, mate. Yeah, looking forward to tonight. Still trying to get my head around how we won last night, but I'm sure we'll pick that apart a little bit in a minute. But yeah, all good. Thanks, mate. Cheers for having me on again.
Yeah, great to have you back again. And I imagine Mikel Arteta is probably also wondering how the hell we got out of home with 3 points. And hey, Mikey is back again, aka Squidger. Again, this is a bit of a reunion for us. We haven't had any collabs in a while. It's been my fault, basically. Been pretty busy. But I look, fair play to you for coming on, especially after that embarrassing defeat to the underdogs Arsenal.
Yeah, paying for my sins, I suppose. I said I'd come on and give you a dig out. I don't know how we lost the game, but sure, look, it is what it is. Just one of them days, I suppose. Fair play, D.
Hey, that's it. I know, but look, in fairness to you, like fair play for coming on after, because you know this is where a lot of fans kind of cry off when I know we didn't really speak previous to it, but a lot of fans will say, "Oh yeah, come on, win, lose or draw."
If we didn't have the FA Cup final and Champions League final to look forward to now, I don't know what it'd be on.
That's 100%. Just before we get cracking into it, just for anyone that's watching, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please do so now. Lads, as I said, we're a little bit stretched for time, so we're going to just kind of jump headfirst into this. So, look, lads, I'm going to get into the lineups and that. Dawesy, I'll start with yourself. Arteta, he's been surprising us over the last couple of weeks with some of the selections he's come out with, the false 9 against Villarreal. Were you surprised to see Arteta go with a back 5 last night against Chelsea?
I wasn't actually, no, because for me going into the game, I wasn't overly confident going into the game, and I just felt that it could have been a little bit of damage limitation if I'm being completely honest. So it didn't surprise me, the lineup with him going 5 at the back. The lineup was kind of as I expected. If I'm being honest, I might have expected Martinelli to start. He's been playing well, was really good against Newcastle. But aside from that, no, I wasn't overly surprised with the lineup. I was more surprised with Chelsea's lineup, just because purely based on the amount of changes that were made, and obviously they've got the cup final coming up, which that kind of is a very valid reason as to why he's kind of wanting to rest some players. And listen, the players that have come in are still very, very good players. So lineup than I think I was with ours.
And what did you make of the Gabriel and Pablo Mari kind of? I know Holding was there as well, but we've heard this so many times. you can't play Gabriel with Pablo. They're both left-footed, but we got a little glimpse of it last night. What did you make of that kind of that partnership?
It worked all right. I mean, Mari obviously got caught out, didn't he, going for that ball, and obviously when they got that one-on-one that Havertz put over the bar. But I mean, aside from that, I mean, the one thing I will say about Arsenal's performance last night is we defended really well, but we really. I hate rotating centre backs. I really dislike that. Just because you won't ever build up any kind of centre back partnership if you're continuing to rotate. So that frustrates me quite massively. But obviously we had to play 3 because he was playing the 5 at the back. So yeah. I mean, listen, Gabriel looked a bit clumsy last night at times. I thought he was, and that's probably not the first time, if I'm being fair to him. But as a team, I thought we defended really well. But yeah, be interesting to see if he does it with a 2, and he plays the 2 of them together in a back 4. That will be the interesting thing if he ever decides to do that. So yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. It might give him something to look for the future anyway. Just before I move on to, I'm going to bring Mikey in now in a second. I just kind of want to get your opinion on Tierney and Saka playing in the wing back role. Obviously, with the back 3, you've got the 2 guys playing wing back. Tierney, absolutely no issues. We know how strong he is going forward. We know how strong he is defensively. Bukayo Saka, we've seen him in a left wing back role. Now, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's played an awful lot of football. I sort of would have liked him to be rested yesterday. We had 3 right backs on the bench, and he still went with Bukayo Saka. What did you make of Bukayo Saka as a right wing back?
I think he certainly does a job as a left back. I think he does a really good job as a left back, and obviously he's unbelievable further up the pitch. I feel like he seems to struggle at wing back. He seems to struggle whether to go forward or to defend. He seems to get caught a little bit in the middle sometimes. But certainly playing right wing back, he should never see that position ever again. And that's no disrespect to him because it's the way he is and the player he is, and he is very left-footed. It just seemed like a very odd decision. And like you say, the fact we had 3 right backs and Chambers, of which I think Chambers is very, very good at getting forward as well. He might not have the pace as Saka, but he's certainly got an engine. He can get up and down. So yeah, that was probably the one decision that was a bit odd, really, that he played him there. And it's no surprise that Saka struggled a little bit. But like you say, that's going to be a culmination of he's played a lot of football at a very, very young age this season, with a lot of pressure on his shoulders as well for us. So that's going to take a toll over time. But it's a little bit unfair to put him in that position, I think, because you're almost setting him up to fail slightly in that position because he's just not adapted to that position, really.
Yeah, definitely. What I'm going to do, lads, is in between, there's just a bit of an echo. So just if you do see me muting the mics, it's just to kind of cut out that echo just until we transition to the next question. But yeah, Mikey, I'm going to bring you in now. And like that, look, it's something we saw against Villarreal. It's actually something I think we first saw against Man City. We had Willian play that false 9 role. It didn't work that day. It was to be expected against Man City. Willian false 9 wasn't going to work. He tried it again against Unai Emery's Villarreal, and again, it just didn't go to plan. What did you make of Kai Havertz there in the false 9 role? And what do you make of this? The idea of a false 9. I'm a bit more old school. I like a centre forward. I like my centre forward. Like I'd imagine, you like your Didier Drogba type of player there. Would you have been a bit more happy to see maybe Olivier Giroud or Tammy Abraham or something as opposed to Havertz as a false 9?
I'm a big Olivier Giroud fan, but Havertz has been playing well in that position for the last 6 to 8 weeks. He's been flying it he was really bad last night. If he put that chance away, it would have been a completely different game. And I think Olivier Giroud would have put that chance away. But he mightn't have got the chance because he's not as fast as Havertz or whatever. I think with the speed of the players we have behind us, like your Pulisic's, your Mounts, your Ziyech's, breaking on the counter-attack, I think it's okay to play the false 9 because that's where our strength is, like just attack on the counter attack. I love seeing Billy Gilmore start. Yeah, we've talked about him a lot of times before, Anto, on other videos. But I don't like seeing Billy Gilmore starting with Jorginho. I think they're too similar a player. There's just a lot of sideward passes going on between the two lads, and I think it just doesn't work with the two of them in there. Starting Kepa in goals, I can see why he did it, but do keepers need to be rested that much? Are they expending that much energy? Like Mendy, he could be in team of the year. I'm not saying he should be. He could be. Like he's had a great season. But I don't know, Kepa, he just like I'm not gonna. I think it was Jorginho's fault, but Kepa was out of position. Like, but I don't know. So I don't like. I wasn't like Chelsea is such a good squad. That doesn't look like a bad team out there, and you have to give Arsenal their fair dues to defend it well. Other than a couple of slip-ups, Mary's slip-up for Havertz's chance, and a couple other little things. But just touching on the Arsenal lineup, Saka. I think what Dawesy said there, like Saka should never. Like Saka's probably your best player, especially with the form Aubameyang's in, and playing him out right wing back. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, and I'd say Saka's a bit. I wouldn't say he's too happy about it either, especially with the Euros coming up. Like, being played right wing back, he needs to be played in his best position, and to show Gareth Southgate what he's able to do. So, like, if you're saying, was I happy with the lineups? Yeah, I was happy with the lineups because it's still a good side. I still thought we would have beaten Arsenal because we were on such a good run of form, but it was just one of those nights, I suppose. And fair play to you.
And just I know, look, Chelsea have the FA Cup final coming up on Saturday. They got Leicester. Obviously, one eye on that. There's going to be one eye on the Champions League. Thomas Tuchel, especially, he's going to want to get his first trophy in English football. Were you a bit kind of concerned about the? I know with hindsight again, like Chelsea went for it. You definitely couldn't say Chelsea weren't out to win last night, but were you a bit concerned that maybe? Obviously, there was going to be rotation players rested with the cup finals. Were you expecting Chelsea to kind of come out at Arsenal as much as they did, and like they really looked like they wanted to win?
Well, we're still fighting for top four. Like, the loss last night brings Liverpool right back into it. Like, we've two tough games against Leicester and Aston Villa to coming up, like, in the league. If Liverpool win tonight, they've West Brom then after that. And if they win them two games, I think they're only a point behind. They have two games in hand. Like, they'll only be a point behind, which puts serious pressure on Chelsea. Like, so we had to win that game last night. If we won that game last night, we were more or less guaranteed Champions League football next season. Like, I know you have the kind of insurance of we've Champions League final. Still have to win that, like, obviously. But I wasn't surprised that Chelsea went out to win the game last night. Like, in my opinion, teams like Chelsea and Arsenal should be going out to win every game. Now, I know Arsenal are going through a bit of a rough patch at the minute, but like, there should be no Chelsea should have went out to win the game, 100,000,000%. It's just like, obviously, as you said, with hindsight, like, we've the cup final coming up, but we have the squad to rotate, like, which is a good thing. But obviously we lost in, so kind of you're saying, oh, why did you rotate so much? But if we won, like, we've rotated so much in the past numerous games, like, so and we've been winning, so no one's been saying nothing. We get bet last night, and people are saying, oh, you shouldn't have changed as much or whatever. So you can't win. It's
No, look, I can definitely understand why there was so much rotation. As I said, look, you've got two cup finals coming up. You do want to keep putting points on the board, because even West Ham, I think, have a game in hand, and if they win, they're within touching distance as well, and their game in hand is against Brighton. So there's a real possibility they are going to jump to 61 points as well, and it's all to play for again. Dawesy, I just kind of want to ask as well. Thomas Partey, he's got a bit of kind of stick lately. There's been a couple of iffy performances. I still think we're yet to see the best of Thomas Partey. I thought against Villarreal, he was a little bit kind of left out to dry by the way we lined up. He was in there by himself. I still don't think he's fully fit. I think I saw the benefit last night of having a guy like El Neni, and I definitely think there's there's real cause for maybe kind of sitting back and saying, is El Neni the option of a guy beside him or someone in that kind of a mould? But what did you make of Thomas Partey's performance last night?
Yeah, I thought he was good last night. It's weird because when you kind of look at the performances this season, you could probably handpick 2 games, and the 2 best games I've seen Partey play were last night and away at Man United, and both times he had El Neni next to him. So whether or not that's a coincidence or not, I don't know. And listen, when people say, "Oh yeah, we need loads of squad rotation, we need to get rid of loads of players," El Neni's always on the list of players that people want to get rid of. But for me, it doesn't make any sense. From a transfer fee, you're not going to get a huge amount of money for him. No. He's not demanding massive wages. He doesn't complain about sitting on the bench, and he does a job. He's not a flash player by any means, but he comes in, he breaks the play up, he gets rid of the ball, and he allows the other players to get on and do what they want to do. So for me, I don't see any reason to want to move him on at all. There's certainly a lot of players that I would move on ahead of him. But in terms of Partey, I thought he was good last night. Agree with exactly what you said. I think he was set up to fail by the way we played against Villarreal. It doesn't matter how good you are. You can't do that by yourself not in a European semi-final. It's just impossible. So, and for me, you always get that first season to adapt, get used to the league, get used to the team, settle in. So, I'm hoping it's a performance that he can build on. I'd love to see us win the last 2 games if we can, and who knows what might happen. There's been some crazy results this season. Nobody seems to be putting together 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. So even if we were to manage to jump up a couple of places, I think we'd all be as happy as that as we could do. It'd certainly look a lot better. So yeah, I was impressed with Partey last night. I thought it was good. Sometimes can be a bit complacent on the ball, play some very random passes that nobody else sees, and it's just not on at all, that pass, and he'll do that every now and again. But no, last night I thought he was superb. He was everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. No, I was impressed with him last night. It was good to see, but I think definitely you see the benefit of having I wouldn't just say like a midfield partner, a hard-working midfield partner, and then because the one thing you can't fault is his work rate it's unreal. But look, we'll move into the goal. Squidger, I want to get your take on this. This is something I think as Arsenal fans we've seen the like of this too many times. What on earth went on there, and what went through your mind when you saw this?
Lads, first of all, I think it stems from passing it around the back. Now we're really good at passing it around the back, and it's been going well for us this year. Why don't know should Zuma play Jorginho that ball in the first place? That's the first thing that went wrong, I think. Then Jorginho was under a little bit of pressure. He didn't have time to look up, and he's assuming Kepa is just in the middle of his goals, which is probably where he should have been. And then he just kind of passed it back, and Kepa's where I don't know where Kepa is, but he gets back to it. It would have been a back pass and an indirect free kick if it was. Where would the indirect free kick be taken from? Because it was right on the line, So it was just one of them goals. Look, you're going to have 2 or 3 of them a season. It just always seems to be Kepa that's involved in them when it's Chelsea playing. It's just one of them goals, and then that goal kind of gave Arsenal something to kind of sit back and kind of like, look, if we hold out here, it's huge 3 points. So kind of give Arsenal a basis to kind of sit in like, and he defended well, I have to say. It's just the goal. It's just one of them things that they happen in football. But what can you do about them? Look, I like it's hard to like Jorginho probably most at fault, but Kepa shouldn't have been out. Why are they doing standing out there for So I don't know. It's just one of them things in football. You're going to see a few of them every year, I suppose.
Yeah, it was one of those, and I tweeted out. I was like, look. It's something you expect to see out of Arsenal, so look, I'll take it. I'll take that all day. Dawesy, we've been linked to Jorginho time and time again. Is this something we can look forward to at the Emirates next season?
I feel a bit sorry for. Well, I don't feel sorry for them. That's probably the wrong phrase, because I don't feel sorry for either of them at all. But it's one of those things. Growing up playing football and Saturday football, I was always taught if you're going to play it back to the keeper, don't play it back in between the posts, because if it goes under his foot or whatever, you're going to look silly either way. So I can kind of understand why Kepa came out of the goal, because that's kind of the rule, is that the unwritten rule, if you like, is that you don't play it in between the posts. So, but at the same time, I mean, Jorginho, he just didn't look up at all about where the keeper was, not even just for a split second. So it was weird that he didn't even see him out of his peripheral vision, because he was facing kind of the right way, and it was a strange one. I kind of understood the position of both players, that kind of you play it back and you expect your goalkeeper to be at least within a distance of being able to recover if it's not right back at him. But Kepa came a long way out of his goal to kind of get the ball. So, but in terms of being linked with Jorginho, no thanks. I think we got enough centre midfielders that are slow on the ball, play sideward passes. For me, he's very similar in the mould of Xhaka, really. When you kind of, if you want to compare players, I wouldn't like to sign him, and I don't think we need to sign him either. So he can stay in the blue colour if he wants.
And the man that's up on screen there, Dawesy, Smith Rowe. Look, Aubameyang into Smith Rowe. I have to admit, I watched the replays, and he was quite lucky. He was quite lucky that ended up in the back of the net, because if you watch how he kicked it was one of those. I think he hit it with his left, but it came off of his right, and you could see in his face in slow mo, he was like, "I hope this goes in," So, look, Smith Rowe, for me, over the course of 90 minutes, I'm not saying overall man of the match, because I think it's quite difficult, I think, to give an Arsenal player the man of the match, because we were quite dominated for most of the game. But I think from an Arsenal perspective, he is my Arsenal man of the match. What did you make of his performance? And just how important is this kid?
He was for me, he was man of the match. And the reason I say that is because, listen, I mean, what Mike was saying, like they gave us something to protect. We had something to keep a hold of. But anything that was positive, any time that we got anywhere near past the halfway line, it came through Smith Rowe. Absolutely everything came through him, and he was the most positive player on the park. And I think, listen, from an attacking perspective, Arsenal were completely null and void last night. There was there was nothing there. But I thought Chelsea were poor last night. They were slow. They were lethargic. There was no tempo to any of their play. So I think we kind of, Arsenal probably were the better team in the sense that we kind of did our job better than they did. When you look at the statistics, it was one of the worst games I've ever had to watch, because I was sat there for 90 minutes just waiting for the inevitable goal that was just, I was sure was going to come. And it never did, but I thought we defended well. But I thought anything positive came through Smith Rowe. And it's a shame that he kind of struggled mid-season with a few little niggly injuries, because if he hadn't had them, I think he would have kind of hit this kind of form maybe a little bit earlier. And for me, I seriously think that people should be looking at him in the same bracket as people like Bukayo Saka, because I think he's immense. He really is. And I thought he was superb last night. Positive on the ball. He did his defensive duties very, very well. He got back. He broke play up. He was superb. He was my man of the match, just because I didn't think anybody from Chelsea's perspective really stood out massively. Really, I thought he was my man of the match. Really.
Yeah, as I said, look, he was my man of the match, definitely. Definitely from an Arsenal perspective. But yeah, as you can see, looking at the statistics, look, don't get me wrong, it's one of those games. This is why I always say statistics don't tell the full story, because if you didn't watch that game, you look at the statistics and you say, you know what, Chelsea played Arsenal off the park. And by no means am I disagreeing with that, because it was all Chelsea, all attack. But I think you've got to also, when you watch a game, you've got to give credit to a team who've defended as well as Arsenal did. I think for all Chelsea's dominance, I don't think they created an awful lot. Like you can see there, 19 goal attempts, but only 5 shots on goal, which it's not a lot, you know, when you say you had 19 attempts. But out of those 5, how many of them were, you know, overly threatening, you know, attempt to goal? Maybe at the end of the game, which we will talk about, you know, that Leno save, Giroud hit the post and that. But just before we kind of talk about that, Mikey, I kind of want to get your perspective really quickly. The Smith Rowe interview at the very actually rejected by Chelsea as a kid. What do you make of
that? Chelsea have so many young lads coming through or that have came through in the past. If you look at all the lads we've missed out on and stuff like that, you could Mbappe was just one off the top of my head like that we refused to sign. There's no denying it that Smith Rowe is an exceptional talent. Like, and in my opinion, he was the best player on the pitch as well last night. Because you couldn't really give any Chelsea player man the match, even though we dominated the game. Smith Rowe, his work rate really impressed me as well. Even like I think it was in the 88th minute, they were coming down the sideline and he put in a serious tackle. Like that's what you want. That's what you want your your Aubameyangs and your Xhakas and their lads to be doing. They're more experienced player. But when you see Smith Rowe, what age is he? 20? Is he 20 years of age? When you see him doing that, stepping up and being a leader, that's when you know you have plus he has the actual talent as well the talent with the actual fire to work, and that's what you want in a player. But if you're looking at the stats there, like 19 goal attempts, other than the Havertz chance, the Zuma header Leno save, and the Giroud off the crossbar, I can't name the other 16 chances. Like, do you know what I mean? So them stats, I never look too much into stats. Other than possession, like possession can tell who had the most of the ball or whatever. But like them stats, I don't read too much into them because you can't. And looking at them stats there, you think Chelsea like completely, which we had most of the ball, but we didn't penetrate you enough. We didn't really do much with it. Like sideward passes, we did a lot of that. So it wasn't really, do you know what I mean? It wasn't a good performance from Chelsea. It was a good defensive performance from Arsenal. You got lucky with the goal, but that you have to take your chances. Like that's it. Smith's Rowe movement for the goal was really good. He went to run inside and then checked back out. And I think it was Thiago. I'm not sure who. I think it was Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva went, and then Smith Rowe had a chance. I know he nearly put it wide, but he didn't. But he made a room for himself really well.
Yeah. Just want to check. Is my sound okay? I see a comment about my sound being a bit.
Yeah, it's jittery a bit, Anto, to tell you the truth.
Is it? Yeah, I'm having all sorts of problems. I had camera issues at the beginning. I'm having mic issues now. So is that any better? I'll try and move this around. Is that any better at all there?
Small, well, yeah, it sounds better, yeah.
All right, we'll run with that. I might just disconnect this mic altogether now in a second. You can let me know. Yeah, happy days. Cheers for that. But Dawesy, that save there. That for me, again, look, I've been saying this the whole time. I've been saying, you know, people need to start giving Leno respect. I know he's had a couple of errors, but you know what? I think the thing is, Emi Martinez is kind of bursting onto the scene, you know, albeit 10 years after, you know, being at the club, he suddenly burst onto the scene, and people have now forgotten how good a goalkeeper Bernd Leno is, how good a shot stopper he is. He does have his mistakes, as I did say. For me, I've always been a bit critical of the fact that he does like to parry the ball back out in front of himself. But look, there's no denying another great save last night. Kept us in that game, kept it at 1-0. Do you believe he gets a bit of a hard time off the fans, and he's underrated by the Arsenal fans?
First of all, there's a reason why Emi didn't get a chance in 10 years. There's a reason, you know. We've had some bad goalkeepers in that time. And you're telling me that Emi Martinez has not been able to make an impression to break into the first team. So that's the first thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from the performance that Martinez put in for 8 months or whatever it was. He was absolutely phenomenal. And he's continued that form for Aston Villa. And it's great to see. But Leno is underrated. I think the problem with Leno, the problem I have with Leno is he's not great with his feet. He doesn't seem overly confident with his feet, and the way that we play football now and the way Mikel sets us up is to play out from the back. That highlights that massively for me. So that's something he needs to work on. that's something you can work on, and he can improve that. So I'm not worried about it. But it's certainly an area that he needs to work on. The other thing that frustrates me is he's not, and the big difference that I see and what I see on social media is between Martinez and Leno is the way they command their box. Emmy just will come for everything, and he will just go through absolutely anything that's in his way. And I think that's where Leno falls down slightly, is the way that he doesn't quite have that presence in the box for me that I think you need to be a proper world-class goalkeeper. You have to have that. But in saying that, I would say arguably he's right up there with the best in the league when it comes to shot stopping. His agility, the way he can pick things out of the top corners, is absolutely phenomenal. And I certainly wouldn't take that away from him. I know he's getting a bit of stick at the moment because of the media comment about him possibly wanting to leave. And it's not. Right now, apart from a few of the youngsters, and you tag on the likes of Tierney and Partey, I don't really care who goes, if I'm being completely honest. I want to see as many changes in that squad and just really freshen it up and kind of start again. So, and we're not in a position to keep hold of players that aren't fully committed to the cause. And for me, if Leno there's any even 1% doubt that he wants to be at the club, someone comes in with a good offer, maybe look to move him on and get someone in. But ideally, I'd like to hear him come out. I know he came out, I think, or the day before the Chelsea game and said, "Look, I am happy here. I'm not looking for a move." So let's hope that kind of squashes that. But yeah, he's a good keeper. I think for me, he's got a couple of areas to work on. It needs to be more commanding in the box for me. But yeah, I think some of the stick he does get is unfair. But I think you could probably say that for almost 90% of the players in the whole league. It's just the way modern football is, isn't it? All the players get stick for no reason most of the time. So, but yeah, he made a couple of really good saves last night. So yeah, I was happy with his performance last night. And the fact he was pushing the back four up. If he didn't want to play it short, he didn't. And he said, "Look, get up the fucking pitch and we'll go long. I'm not going to risk anything playing short." So I liked that because we've conceded a couple of goals previously where we probably should have done that, and he's not. So no, good performance last night. I was happy with it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, my concern as well. Yeah, the distribution thing. Look, he hasn't been overly comfortable when he's got the ball to feet. We've seen that. I kind of have attributed that a little bit down to the manager. You sort of have to recognise when players aren't comfortable. And I know, look, with training and time, they will adapt. But yeah, I think as fans, we need to be a little bit kind of, I think a little bit more understanding that, you might have guys like, say, remember Petr Cech, for example, played his whole career playing a certain way, and then at Arsenal was expected to play the ball at his feet, and he'd never done it before, and ultimately it's what led to Brent taking that spot. But sorry, Mike, I think my mic is going to be. I'm going to disconnect this mic real quick. Okay, is that mic any better now? Sounds better, right? So we'll go with that mic now. We'll go with that mic. It's the worst, you pay for a mic, you buy an expensive mic and it doesn't work. Same with camera. I've resorted back to the old camera that I was using. I have all sorts of tech difficulties here today. But actually, just before I move on, Dawesy, are you okay for time?
Yeah, I probably got 10 minutes or so, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, ideal. We won't go too much longer. We move on. But what I do want to ask, I'll start with yourself, Dawesy, while you're there. Look, it's the debate that's come up lately, the whole managerial debate, and it's something we're going to keep hearing about. And again, look, it's more a hypothetical question because we know, regardless, we're continuing with Arteta. We know, and we've known all season. But I guess from my point of view, as you know, and I keep saying this, I have never been Arteta in, I've never been Arteta out. I've been very sympathetic of Arteta and understanding of the job and, the overall bigger picture of what this Arsenal job entails. Looking at Thomas Tuchel and the impact he's had, he's taken over from a novice coach, fairly novice coach in Lampard. he's inherited the same squad Lampard had, and look at how he has transformed. Like, that result completely outside. You know, they're in an FA Cup final, they're in a Champions League final. You know, they look at a different force altogether. For me, that has made me look and kind of say, okay, you know, when people have been making this argument of a more experienced coach can get that extra, 10, 20% out of a squad, do you think maybe when things weren't going well, Thomas Tuchel was available, should we have explored that avenue, or are you happy enough that we stuck with Arteta and the process?
I'm not going to go into a massive rant about Arteta and why I'm kind of in or out, because at the moment I'm kind of neither. First of all, I can see the reasons why they went for Arteta. I can see the reasons why they've stuck with him. And listen, all through social media today has been, he's beaten Tuchel, he's beaten Klopp, he's beaten Guardiola, he's beaten Mourinho. You know, there has to be something there. Has he made mistakes? Of course he has. Everybody can see that he's made mistakes, but there has to. No Arsenal fan can look me in the eye and say that we haven't performed better in the big games. In the big games is when we've looked. And listen, last night is probably an exception because, I mean, it was just one of those games. You play that game 99 times again, Chelsea win that all day, every day. And, and I agree with what Mike said earlier on. Havertz takes that chance. It's a completely different game. Arsenal have to come out. They have to try and get something. At what point you're probably looking at 2-3, maybe 4-0 or something stupid like that. So that for me was the defining moment of last night's game was Havertz missing that chance massively. But Guardiola, he seems to be able to set his sides up and get them up for these bigger games, because we've made a huge step forward in those games. And I've seen a lot of stats today going around about, Arsenal are the third best team in the league since Christmas or something like that. So for me, I can every time it gets to a point where I think actually maybe we need to look to do something different, Arteta pulls something out of the bag to say, actually there might be something there. There might be something worth sticking with. This summer's huge for Arteta. It's absolutely massive. He's got to get rid of players. He's got to bring new players in. And then for me, with a full pre-season, he's got no excuses. You get to Christmas next year, you've had a full pre-season, you've got rid of the players you want to get rid of, you've brought in some of the players that you want to bring in. And if we're not sitting 5th, 6th, somewhere in and amongst those positions and fighting for top 4, then we absolutely need to make a decision. In terms of Tuchel, I think he's a phenomenal manager. And had he been available before we got Arteta, I would have liked to have seen us probably go for him. He did a brilliant job at Dortmund. PSG is always a tricky job. It's always one of those jobs that the slightest hint of failure and you're going to struggle when you're going to be out the door. And to be honest, the same with Pochettino. I'll be surprised if he's there next year, because it looks like they're not going to win the league either. So we'll see what happens there. But I think you always get a bit of a bounce from a squad when you change managers. You always get a little bit of a reaction from the players and say, right, I've got a new manager. I need to impress him. I need to fight for him. So I think you saw that with Chelsea. And when you look at the squad, I mean, it's a brilliant squad that they've got, a fantastic squad of players that they've got there. So really, you're probably looking at it and thinking maybe Lampard should have been getting a lot more out of that squad than what he was. So, yeah, listen, I'm not a big fan of changing managers mid-season. So I think for me, we started the season with Arteta, so we end the season with Arteta. And then if you need to make a decision then, you make a decision then. But, yeah, I've got nothing but praise to say about Tuchel. I think he's a brilliant manager, and actually probably one of the few managers that are quite underrated. He goes under the radar a little bit. I think he's right up there with some of the best. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the 2 finals. I mean, listen, if he wins the FA Cup final and finds a way of beating City, then you don't get a much better first half a season than that, do you, really? So it'll be... but in saying that, he's got to build on that next season. So you go into there as FA Cup winners and Champions League winners. You've got to be looking to be right up there with City next year and potentially Liverpool and and whoever else is up there. So it's always been a massive pressure, that Chelsea job, and we all know that they change managers maybe more often than maybe some of the fans would like. But when you look at the trophy record over the last 10 to 12 years, it speaks for itself. So you can't say they've made the wrong decisions. So so for me, I wouldn't have changed it mid-season, but maybe if at some point or before we got Arteta on, I'd like to have seen us gone for Tuchel, definitely.
Yeah, look, that's fair. That's definitely fair. But I think obviously the major difference was the fact that Lampard had the 200 odd million to spend. Mikey, I kind of want to get your thoughts. Look, obviously, I know you're going to be full of praise for Tuchel and the job he's done, but I know Lampard is your favourite Chelsea player of all time. Like, sentiment aside, look, because like for me with Thierry Henry took over Arsenal in the morning. I don't think he's ready for the job. I don't think he's capable of it. But I'd like to see it. Definitely my favourite player of all time. Obviously, I'm going to want to see it. But sentiment aside, did you think, it was the right decision bringing Thomas Tuchel, let Lampard go? You're just I think you have to.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Look, as you said, Lampard's my favourite player of all time, but Lampard's not my favourite manager of all time. Like, he has to prove he is you can't have sentiment in football. Yes, when they're playing, you're like, oh, I love them, I support them. But when he takes over manager of Chelsea Football Club, you're literally starting from number one again, and you have to work your way back up. That's it. You can't have he was your greatest ever player. He should have been shown way too much respect, or he should have been shown more respect. He had to earn the respect. First of all, I think it was too soon for him. He did a bad job at Derby. Because he had Mason Mount, Wilson. He had these lads with him. Mason Mount's after proving how good he is this year. He didn't reach the playoffs with Derby, which was his main goal. I just think it was too soon for Lampard. I hope he does. Get another managerial job and do well in it. And maybe down the line he could come back when he has that bit more experience. Managing, but definitely I thought it was the right decision to get rid of him, to tell you the truth. I was actually on the Lampard out boat or whatever, but look, Tuchel's after coming in, and I just want to touch on that point that Dawesy said there, is that I honestly don't think that if Tuchel went to Arsenal, I don't think he would have had the same impact that he has at Chelsea, because Chelsea went out and spent 250 million last summer. People have to remember that. Like Chelsea have no disrespect to Arsenal. Chelsea's squad is in a lot better place than what Arsenal's squad is at the minute. Yeah. And if you're at the start of the video here tonight, you were talking about is El Neni the man who should be beside Partey? Now, I'm not against El Neni and not against Partey or whatever, but yes, El Neni do a job for you, but if you want to be challenging for top four, challenging for leagues, El Neni's not your man. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Chelsea have the squad, and that's why Tuchel's obviously come in and the players seem to be playing well for him and everything, and you have to give him great credit for that. But yes, they were right to drop or get rid of Lampard and bring in Tuchel, and that's just it's proven now. And if as Dawesy said, if we win the Champions League and FA Cup, we some start to his Chelsea career. Di Matteo won the Champions League and was sacked 4 months later, though. So you never know.
You never know. Hopefully my mic issues are fixed now. I dropped out and came back in, so hopefully that's all about it. We're going to wrap up in probably next 5 minutes anyway. Mikey, what are you thinking though? Do you reckon he's going to do the double? Do you think FA Cup and Champions League realistic, or do you think even one of the two?
Look, it's 100% realistic. If we're favourites in the Leicester game, and we've beaten Man City the last 2 times we've played them. Now Man City could come out and if they click, they could beat anyone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously it's realistic. All we have to do is win 2 games. We're in them for a reason. We have been playing well. Other than the Arsenal result aside last night, we've been the informed team in the league, I think. So I'm quite confident about the Champions League, to tell you the truth. just because we seem to have one up on Man City this year. Plus, they have the extra pressure of never winning it before. I know none of the players that Chelsea. I know none of the players that Chelsea have now won it before or whatever. But excuse me, as a club, we've won it before. So like it put a lot more pressure on the Man City players to get over the line. Do you know what I mean? So I actually quietly confident we're going to win the Champions League. But look, anything can happen in a final. If a lad gets sent off early or if penalties or whatever, you just never know in a final. So, and as for the FA Cup, I'm confident. Any game Chelsea go out and play now, I'm confident that we're going to win it. Like, and that's just the way we're playing at the minute. Like, obviously, last night's result aside.
Yeah, no, look, that's fair. Like you said, look, Chelsea, that result aside, and look, there's circumstances involved in that squad rotation, and obviously prioritising cup finals. So, yeah, I wouldn't really read too much into it. But Dawesy, just before we kind of wrap it up, looking at the league table there, obviously Arsenal are 8th at the moment, and this is the issue I'm having with Arsenal all season. I'm writing them off, and I'm saying top 6 is gone, not a chance, not a hope, and then they pull something like out of the bag, and they get me dreaming and wishing and hoping and praying all over again. And yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, look, we need all the stars to align. We look, Liverpool have games in hand. West Ham have a game in hand. Tottenham have a game in hand. I'm looking at that and I'm going, do you know what, Dawesy? Can we sneak it? Can we sneak top 6?
The first thing is obviously because we got a team in the obviously 2 English teams in the Champions League final, and just theoretically say United win the Europa League final, does that then take it down to 7 and 7th place? No, it doesn't. No. So I wasn't sure. I read a couple of people saying it did, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how it worked, because obviously we got one of the 2 English teams is going to win the Champions League, but I wasn't sure. So okay, so 6th is the target. I mean, it's ridiculous when you look.
That's 7.
Yeah.
The only way it would have been brought down to 7. The only way it would have been brought down to 7 is if Arsenal won the Europa League, and we won the Champions League. I think.
Okay.
I'm nearly sure that's the way it is anyway. But I don't think it's 7 now. If United win the Champions, or because they're already in the Champions League next year.
True. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, like you, Anthony, I mean, when you look at that and you discount, obviously, the games, because obviously Liverpool got a couple in hand, Spurs have got one in hand, West Ham have got one in hand. But the bottom line is, at the moment, as you look at that, we're 3 points behind 5th, which is just ridiculous, because we've been absolutely shocking all season. So it's bizarre. The one thing I don't understand is why we get so much stick. I mean, we're a point behind Tottenham, and we're 2 points behind the ex-Premier League champions, and yet you don't seem to hear much in the way in the media of kind of how bad their seasons have really panned out. So it's, certainly a bit of bias, I think, somewhere along the line against Arsenal, but I don't know. Listen,
that's something I noticed going back a couple of seasons ago. I remember Tottenham. The media was selling Tottenham as having one of their best seasons. Like Tottenham, they look a real threat this season. And this was a season, I think we pipped them for 4th. But the media were hyping Tottenham as, they were having this great season. The squad is like the best they've seen in the longest time. And they were unbelievable. But Arsenal were having a terrible season. And this was one of the worst Arsenal squads. And then we pipped them to 4th for Champions League in the end. But it shows, I don't know whether it's the expectations of one as opposed to the other back then. That one is having a great season and one is having an awful season. But yeah, again, like you said, there is a lot of bias. But I think the problem is a lot of it comes from Arsenal fans. I think
100%.
Our own fan base. We're the ones that are doing the majority of the damage. We're the ones that are coming out and saying, like, any other fan, like, with all due respect to Arsenal fans, but any fan of a different fan base, they're not disrespectful towards me as an Arsenal fan, but they do say, look, the expectations of the squad you have, like, with all due respect, we don't believe you're as good as, your fan base thinks you are. Like, your fan base are saying this is a top 4 squad. We don't believe you are. and they're not being dicks about it. You know what I mean? And now, at the beginning of the season, I did say, look, Arteta aside, I didn't believe that this squad was I said, if we have a good season and we probably surpass expectations, we'll get top 6. But I didn't really feel like this was a top 6 squad. But I'd seen at the beginning of the season, people were saying we're top 4, definitely. And I'm going, you know what?
No chance.
I think we need to, you need to curb your expectations a little bit. And I know that sounds a little bit defeatist. I like to say it's a bit more realist. But when I say this to people, obviously they say, oh, this squad is this and that. And I'm going, well, look, as soon as this squad shows me they are that, then I'll start believing it. I mean, they didn't show me last season. And with the additions we brought in, again, I think the problem we have as Arsenal fans is, you get a guy like Gabriel, we watch a couple of highlight clips and we think this guy's been added to the squad. He is going to be unbelievable. We see Odegaard, we see a couple of clips, and we believe the hype of what he was supposed to be, and he's come from Real Madrid. We're definitely getting top 6, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I think we're our own worst enemies at times, and I think we need to, settle down a small bit. And I think this is why Arteta has got an awful lot of stick this season, because I think the expectations are a little bit too high to what the reality of this squad and this team actually is. So
you have to.
Yeah, go for Mikey.
Yeah, you have to look from the outside looking in, lads. And this is no disrespect. I'd hate to be an Arsenal supporter. It's not because you're rivals or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just do not seem to have any backbone, or the players that you seem to be bringing in, they're not like. Take Patrick Vieira for example, right? Patrick Vieira, this dominating midfielder, one of the best the Premier League has ever seen, and that's when you were in your glory years and all this. Name one player that's even 10% as good as Patrick Vieira was since he retired. You're bringing in things Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is your captain. That's he's not captain material. No. Do you know what I mean? He's a flair. He's show off. See him last night when he was coming off sulking, and you're 1-0 up against Chelsea away from home. He should be, he should be going over, giving high fives and telling everyone, "Geez, well done, we're going well here." He goes over sulking, sitting by himself, wouldn't give anyone any of the management. These are he's your captain. You look at Saka, look at Emile Smith-Rowe. They've been your leaders this year. That'll just show you. That's what I think is wrong with Arsenal, is that you just literally do not have them 3-4 players, your Reiki, who grab a dressing room by the scruff of the neck and say, "Here, cop on with you. This is Arsenal Football Club. Look at the state. I know you're a bit of a state at the minute.
You're spot on. You're absolutely spot on.
That's what I think. That's what I, from the outside looking in, that's what I think about Arsenal. I hate to support you because it's just there's this false hope the whole time. Look, this Odegaard. Now Odegaard's a good player, but I don't like. Is he? That's my honest opinion.
I agree with you. And like I said, the way you're saying it, it's in a respectful way. You're saying, look, we're all we're all worst enemies. We sign a guy, and he's the best. He's the best thing ever, And then of course he has one good game, and we're hyping him to the max. Yeah, buy Odegaard, spend 50 million, and then 2-3 games later, everyone's going, he's not good enough, So. Yeah, we need to curb it a small bit. Dawesy, just before we shoot, I just want to ask you one question. See, Aslan has put in a question there. Would you be happy enough for us now? Not saying happy, right? Do you want us to qualify for the Conference League as opposed to missing out on the Conference League? Would you rather us be in it than not be in it?
I think I said it the other day on social media that I'm quite intrigued. And I'm not saying that I want us to be out of Europe, because financially, with everything that's happened over the last year, it's huge for us to not be in any kind of European competition. But I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens, and if that kind of causes any kind of reaction from higher up the board, just to see whether they're going to get to a point where they say, actually, if we're not careful, we're going to start losing money instead of gaining it. That's the main reason why the Cronkies have stuck around, is because it's been a consistent money maker for them. Well, it's getting to the point now where for them that's at risk. Where we stay 2 or 3 years out of Europe now, he's going to start losing money. So I guess he's got a decision now whether he either says, right, we're in it, we own the club, let's try and get us back to some kind of semblance of normality where we're back fighting for top 4 and Champions League and stuff like that, or do we cut our losses and sell the club? Either way, I'm happy. If he puts money into the club, I still want him out, but if he puts money into the club, then that's fine. We can get some players in and see if we can improve. But if he sells it, even better. Let's get someone in that cares. So I think, given at this point in time, I'd probably lean towards having a season out of Europe, just because I want to see what happens. And when you look at what Liverpool did when they had a couple of seasons out of Europe, that kind of galvanised them when they got Klopp in, and then they kind of built from there and they went from strength to strength. So, not saying that that's what we're going to do, but I think Europe. Go on, mate.
I think didn't Chelsea and Leicester do the same? They missed out on Europe for a season and went on to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Obviously, Leicester, was near relegation the previous season, so they had no European football, but went on to win the Premier League. And I think when Chelsea missed out, didn't they go on to win the Premier League as well? So
yeah, I think he'd be better off not in it, to tell you the truth. Even though, if he went on to win it, it's silverware at the end of the day. But I think he'd be better off not in it and focus solely on the league and try break into the top 4. Obviously, you're going to need signings.
Yeah.
But that's if I was an Arsenal supporter, I'd prefer them not to be in it and just focus on the league. It'd give you you'd have, right good chance to just focus on the league and the FA Cup and the League Cup or whatever, and try win one of them.
That's definitely a fair point. And I guess, look, I'm just about to wrap it up now, lads. I guess I'm still slightly torn on it because, look, at the end of the day, whether it's the European competition we want, it is still Europe, and I see the benefits of it. And I know people are saying, look, you don't want to be playing midweek games, you don't be flying all over Europe. I'm looking at it and kind of going, look, the competition we used to blood ESR, we used to blood Bukayo Saka was the Europa League. Joe Willock kind of came out of himself in the Europa League. So if we do get the Conference League, I see benefits to it. You can play Miguel Aziz, you can play these guys. You don't have to play. If we're in it, you don't have to play Aubameyang. You don't have to play your strongest players. You can send these guys off to Azerbaijan or Lithuania, wherever the hell they're going. But that's my thing, because I'm saying next season, the 25-man squad, and you've only got the Premier League, we could be knocked out of the Carabao Cup in the first round. You get Man City who are going to go on and win it. So, you could go out early, you could go out the FA Cup early. And how do you give the young guys in the reserves game time? Because, Martinelli and that can't really get a Premier League game. You think Saliba's coming back and he's going straight into the starting lineup. I don't think so. I think he's going to need these games. He's going to need the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup and maybe the Conference League. So it does have benefits in those kind of senses. But lads, look, I'm going to wrap it up. We run a little bit over time. I know we are short for time. So lads, I really do appreciate your time. So big thanks to everybody, and apologies for the mad issues I'm having with the mic and the camera and all sorts of issues here today. But just before we wrap up, Dawesy, just give yourself a shout out there.
Just head over to my Twitter. You can see my handle there. It's at Dawesy2801. So pop over, drop me a follow, and come say hello. Cheers, Aslan.
100%, and look, it was great to have you back on, Dawesy. So it was a nice catch up, and we definitely do it again soon. And another nice catch up with Mikey, aka Squidger. And look, Chelsea fan, but as was pointed out earlier in the stream, level-headed, one of the coolest Chelsea fans you will find. So look, not just a Chelsea fan, you're an overall football fan, really cool guy. So for anyone that's here, Mikey, give yourself a shout out, because you'd be well worth a follow. Allegiance to Arsenal aside, like I said, cool guy, football fan. Give yourself a shout out.
I myself and Anto have a channel or whatever. We don't get to use it much, but Republic of Football. If you like and subscribe, we'll hopefully be making a couple of videos every now and again. We'll see what the story is. Not really sure, but thanks for having me back, Anto. It's good to be back. Good talking football. I talk about it all day, so. Thanks very much.
Yeah, definitely, lads. So, like I said, look, sorry we had to, we still hit an hour, so we still a little bit rushed, so do apologise. As I said, all kind of issues. Something was against us here tonight, lads, but we got through it, we survived. So, big shout out to everybody for tuning in and watching. Please, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, if you haven't done it already, hit the like button and follow the lads. So look, we'll be back again soon, and come on, you Gunners, London is red.